There is a supernatural world that surrounds us. Sometimes it manifests to people like you and me. You'll hear stories about this and so much more right here on Supernatural Confrontations. Folks, geopolitical tensions are escalating. Boy, is that an understatement. Inflation is raging. Despite what they say, stocks are sinking. Debt is rising, and your own financial future isn't looking too clever. Yet gold endures every crisis. Wars, disasters, no calamity has beaten gold. While paper assets crash and burn, gold endures every time. You need to take a fresh look at gold, steadying your portfolio. And right now, get a 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin when you open an IRA with Noble Gold Investments today. Shield your savings with Noble Gold Investments. Folks, go to noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. It is the only company that I trust. We have invested a portion of our portfolio with them, and I'm really glad that they did last week. I know it was hovering around 2050. So it's definitely an upward trend, and who knows how far it's going to go. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. A regular of our show is Al Matthews. Al has appeared in several of our films. I consider him a friend, even though we only met once up in Vancouver when we were filming up there way back in 2016. So it's been a while. But Al has continued with us through all these years. And of course, our mutual friend Gordy Tong is really responsible for this friendship and the success that we had with the film that we created up in Vancouver. Gordy was our line producer up there, and so Gordy is responsible. So we'll blame Gordy for getting Al into Gordy's studio and filming all this. But Al appears in our fourth film in our series on UFOs as one of the abductees. And so Al is a born-again, spirit-filled Christian, but he still has his hand on the pulse of what's going on. Al, thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So let's circle back, and I'll do a screen share in just a little bit so the folks can see what we're talking about. But this is a very isolated area. How far is it from your house? Give us the backstory with this and why you find this so interesting, why I find it so interesting.
Well, it sort of draws you in, but it's probably about 20 minutes from my place. It's called the Westwood Plateau, top of Coquitlam. You look out over those, when you're up on those mountains, you can see the city. So it seems so close yet so far away. It's extremely remote. I went up there with 2 guys after our last interview with you. I told you I was going to go up there. And man, is that place creepy, just silent. In 3.5 hours, we saw 2 birds and 1 squirrel in the woods. And from the footage that you're about to show that I filmed is incredibly remote. We're looking at that BC hydro plant that's fenced in. I had to take a picture of that. That was one of the more interesting places to film because in our last interview, you see that plant, which is completely enclosed, fenced in. We saw, or we didn't, that lady saw a fog that she said was electric coming out of the ground. We waited till it got dark and that fog is not there. And I asked her, I go, was it foggy that night? And she goes, no, that electric fog was inside the fence, contained, and imploded into a shaft of light and shot up into the sky.
You know, let me go back here to, this is the original, those are the original shots right in here.
Yes, there it is.
There it is. It's pretty amazing. So let me show you what that looks like here. It's not.
It's 2 down.
This one here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
hold on. So for whatever reason, it's not letting me expand it, but I don't know why it's not doing that. But it's this one right here
Yeah.
on the side. Wow. But then also we see here the shaft of light.
Well, the
in
shaft of
sky.
light is above that. That's the shaft of light coming out of the UFO. That one you're pointing at right here. Yeah. That one is that light or mist imploding into a shaft of light going up into the sky and vanishing.
Wow. So let's go back down to
That's
your shots here.
Oh,
That's pretty amazing. So this gives you an idea here of what we're now. Why is it? This is so weird because it just let me do that 2 seconds ago. It let me expand the pictures, and now it's not doing that. So let me stop the share.
okay.
And let me go back, and then I'll do another screen share, and we'll see what happens.
We could teleport Gordy and give you a hand.
Okay, so here we go. There we go. So this is another shot. I mean, that looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's obviously it's a path, but it's really in the middle of nowhere.
It is.
And then this is really interesting because
Look at those shots.
yeah, I mean that's just no, it's not letting me, which I really don't understand because it did that before. Nope, it's not letting me. So we'll just work with what we have.
Okay.
But here we've got one of the shots of the sunset, and it's really hard to see it. But right there where my arrow is, there's this green something is manifesting.
Yes.
My business partner, when I looked at it, Gil Zimmerman, Gil has spent 30 years in the film industry, so he knows what lens flares look like. I got a pretty good handle for a lens flare. The bottom line is you really haven't moved position. The sun is almost identical, and
Yep.
the camera is pointing in the same direction. We don't see the green thing anymore. Yeah, it does not. It
There
does
it
not.
is.
Yeah, it does not look like a lens flare to me. There's this. You can look at it. Right. I'm going to blow this up. There's this. It's very pixelated, but there's this green halo around this thing, and it also trails down. It's just very it's unlike anything I've ever seen, and it's what amazes me is you took a shot basically from the same place, less than 5 minutes later, and
Nothing.
and there's nothing there. So I find that
Well,
really
we didn't
interesting.
see any of that with the naked eye until I went back and opened it up, and I go, here we go again.
Yeah,
They were watching us.
and here's the shot here, and whatever it is no
Gone.
longer there.
No.
So this shows us just where can you see that I'm blowing it up?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is how remote the area is. We know from ufologists that sometimes the UFOs are very interested in high tension power lines. I mean, we know that. They appear, they do all sorts of stuff. It's almost like they're sucking the energy up from these areas. Explain that to us and what the witness was telling you.
Well, I'll tell you one thing from researching this, and I know I'm going back a bit here, but about 5 months ago, I told you about a string of lights that were coming up from the mountains in Coquitlam that were going west to east to where I was living, to the Garibaldi Mountains. Okay, there were black helicopters flying up around these string of lights. I had one friend count to almost 200 of them, tried to videotape them, and other people, and it said video deleted. So they're taking power off these lines. 750,000 volts go through those lines. And we'll see on some of this other footage, sparks coming off the lines going up into UFOs. I mean, this is the most incredible footage I have ever seen. And here's another weird one.
Yeah, this is from last time, and this is obviously something is manifesting here. I don't know what it is. A gateway, a portal. Hard to say. really hard to say. And then here we've got what appears to be two grays that are looking through the green orb. Now that might be pareidolia, but it's the needle kind of moves in that direction because you can see the black eyes.
Can you open that up a bit, and then you'll see the faces?
No, it's not letting me do that, which is really weird. Yeah, it's not letting me do that. Yeah, no, I get
when
it.
you open it up with your phone, you can see at the bottom left the face of a gray. But there's another weird one. Like, what's that?
Yeah, right in here. There's something manifesting, and then
right over that fence.
Here's another shot right
one.
there. Yeah.
Ship.
Yeah.
Lights all around it.
Yeah, that's definitely a ship. So, and this, of course, is the plant with the mist coming up.
She said that UFO just appeared, just in a blink of an eye.
Which is
black bottom, red ring around it, and then the black top. And then what you're seeing in the background is these heavy power lines with sparks flying off them.
Yeah,
going up
right
into
there.
That orange orb.
Right.
Like, look at that ship. Right behind that big power line.
Right in here.
Yeah, that's a ship.
Yeah, you
it
can
just
see it.
appeared in the blink of an eye. Look at that.
Yeah.
Explain that.
I can't. Very strange.
Just wild.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, she's not going back up there anymore anyway, so that's a good thing, and neither am I. I'm done with that place.
That's interesting. So
That's
Al,
weird too.
so what do you think? I mean, obviously things are kind of heating up here. Let me. There we go. So things. There was a show on Tucker Carlson a couple of nights back, and Representative Tim Burchett was on talking about the fact that the U.S. government is basically just stonewalling any type of investigation into the phenomena. They all know something is going on, but they can't get a straight answer out of anybody. You've been involved in this in a very dramatic way, which is why you come on the record in the films. What's your take on it? What do you think we're looking at?
What you're hearing from so-called UFO experts, I mean, I'm just shaking my head more and more. Some of the ridiculous answers saying, well, we don't know where they're from. They're worried about our nuclear installations by shutting down. And the other thing is, if they were bad, they would have destroyed the whole planet. How ridiculous is that? Why don't you tell the truth? From the 40s, they had a guy named Jack Parsons at Area 51 invoke these things. He was an occultist. What did he see? The graves. What a coincidence. Why didn't they talk about crashed ships with mutilated bodies on them? They know what these things are. It's being covered up. The deep state controls it. All these guys with 3 and 4 stars on their hats know next to nothing about this. And the ones that do are told to silence. They don't want to create panic. It's all controlled, all this stuff. All the ufologists we've heard for the last 30 years, I'd say 80% of them are all joining up together and saying the same thing.
Well, we're not. We're saying,
We're not.
And we've been stating this from the get-go, that what we are looking at is something that is utterly demonic. And that's what it is. I mean, we feel
It is.
we're looking at the fingerprints of the fallen angels, and that's our take on it. These are not friendly ETs. Our film on cattle mutilations, I know you've seen that, gets into the whole deal about what the cattle mutilations are for, what the blood is being used for, what the genetic material is being used for. So it's very complex, and I'm amazed. I mean, I'm not worried. You were saying the government's putting the kibosh on it, but this is exactly what our representative on Tucker Carlson stated just a couple of nights ago, that they're the powers that be aren't being straight with the American people. So this is not conspiracy theory. This is news from a United States representative on Tucker Carlson. We also know that David Grush went before the House Committee on Transparency regarding UAPs and stated on the record that some of these crashed UFOs had biologics in them that were also recovered. So now we know that there's bodies in the craft. So we're not making this up. Let me ask you something, Al. I don't want to date, but do you think we're close to some kind of event, some kind of disclosure event? What are your thoughts on that?
I believe something big is coming, and it's going to overwhelm the whole planet, and that's when these things show up saying, they created us, they genetically altered us, we're here to help you. We've been hearing that for 50 years. They need us, we need them. All they do is compulsively lie. The other thing I was going to mention is with all the sightings up here of UFOs, orbs, and Sasquatches, tell me why people are seeing these Sasquatches in the woods, some of them 12 to 13 feet tall.
Yeah, they're really big.
Huge,
Yeah.
giants.
Yeah.
When you use the name of Jesus Christ, they disappear.
Right.
They vanish. What's that tell you?
And I completely concur. I just think that there's definitely a supernatural component to both the UFO phenomena and also what we see with Bigfoot. Al, I'll give you the last word, and thanks so much for coming on the record. Appreciate it.
Well, all I can say is get ready and don't trust all these military people. They're going to tell you what they're told to tell you. And believe me, researching this stuff for 30 years, they cannot tell the truth. They just can't. It's overwhelming. Even for me to handle all this stuff over all these years, it's, fasten your seatbelts. Yeah, pray every day.
And that's exactly what Tim Burchett said on Tucker Carlson several nights ago, that the military is keeping a lid on this thing. I mean, he was in your face about it. Al and Gordy, thanks so much for coming on the record, guys. Really appreciate it. God bless you both. Folks, that's it for today, Supernatural Confrontations. We'll be back with an On the Trail of a Nephilim on our Tuesday show. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button. I will be in Claremont, and you should be able to go to our website, marzulli.net. I'll be speaking in Claremont, Southern California, early part of January, and of course, the latter part of January, I'm down in Texas. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Remember, there is a supernatural world that surrounds us. Sometimes it manifests to people like you and me.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago.
The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucer. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brizzell was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like.